Hi, I'm Molly Morris, and I'm just going to show you a 60-minute project planning tool that I picked up in a project planning meeting I attended. 60 minutes may be a little bit tight, but in the meeting I was in, we did it in 90 minutes, and that included some rather lengthy introductions of a fairly large group. This approach to project planning is based on a combination of project management principles, including CQI, continuous quality improvement, and lean project management. So the first stage, in 10 minutes, you bring your group together, and this kind of methodology is probably best for not more than about 12 people, I would say, in a group. And in the first 10 minutes, what you're going to do is just talk about the goal of your project plan. In the meeting that I was in, we were developing a set of competencies for a specific family of jobs. It was an HR-oriented project. But usually by the time a group comes together in this kind of a format, the goal is fairly well defined. You just want to take 10 minutes to articulate it, make sure everyone is on the same page. All right, now we're going to take the next 15 minutes and look at the broad strokes of the project plan. So split your whole project planning working group into small groups of about 2 to 4 people and give each of those groups a pad of post-it notes and ask them to think about what the various steps of the project plan might need to be. Not looking at any order of anything, we're just brainstorming what the various components of this project plan are going to be. Understanding, of course, because you've now got multiple groups all doing the same thing, at the end of this 15 minutes, you're going to have duplicates, overlap in these post-it notes and these steps. That's just fine. Towards the end of the 15 minutes, get a couple of volunteers to gather up all of the post-it notes and randomly just stick them up on your whiteboard, your wall, your bulletin board, whatever it is you want to use, so that the group can see all of these steps displayed in front of them. Okay, now we're ready to do some macro time blocking. So, in consultation with the whole group, you're going to ask your volunteers to help organize all of these post-it notes into 3 very broad categories marking the beginning, middle, and end of the project plan. Okay, so now with the macro time blocking done, we're going to take each of those sections, beginning, middle, and end, that we blocked out, and we're going to start doing some micro time blocking on each of those. So now break your group up again, this time into 3 groups, 1 for each of those stages, beginning, middle, and end. And ask each group to take their corresponding set of post-it notes and organize them chronologically as they feel they'll have to play out in the project planning. Also at this stage, we're going to ask your groups to list the sub-steps that might have to be involved in that stage. So for instance, under the stage called consultation, the list might include with whom, what platform and venue, how many, and for how long. Some of the things they'll need to know to actually enact that plan. The details all don't have to be answered at this stage, though. It's just meant to be a framework for a detailed tactical rollout plan that will be developed later. Okay, so now we're ready to put it all together. Using your wall or your whiteboard or whatever you've been using all along to display your post-it notes, we're going to get everybody back up to the front and we're going to lay out all of the post-it notes chronologically from beginning to end of the project plan with the task lists associated with each of those notes below them. Now we have an entire chronological project plan. And now we're at the last 5 minutes of our allotted 60 minutes, and there's only one thing left to do, which is to set some dates to those tasks that we have marked out. Now, you don't have to necessarily have firm calendar dates. You can if you want. In the group that I was working with, we actually worked backwards from an end of May target end date for the project and worked backwards and defined tasks by early April, mid-March, early February, etc. Generally, we had a timeline for how we were going to get through that whole plan to our target end date. This kind of methodology for project planning is particularly suited for a community of practice, in which you have the three necessary community of practice elements of mutual engagement arising from an institutional need for which you've been invited to create a solution, joint enterprise in which members have a vested interest within a common institutional context and goal, and a shared repertoire in which members have the same frame of reference and common tools for executing a plan and making a development process cohesive. So once you've got those, far less negotiation is actually going to be required to define the tasks and develop your timelines, things that would normally vastly expand the time required to develop a project plan.